Minnesota has announced that Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for the Vikings going into training camp. And there's one particular masshole that said, "Oh, seems so." I would like it to be on the record. I like the move because this tells JJ McCarthey, like, hey, yeah, you're not. This tells the rest of the team, hey, JJ's not. Sam Darnold's the starter.
So before I begin, I know you all read the title. I am not referring to the Khyree Jackson situation at all. That whole thing is just horrific, and all you can do is pray about it. It's just a thing that never happens in this league. But that's why life is more than just sports, and there is bigger and more important things. But anyways, you can't spend all your time dwelling in the past, or else you will go insane. So in this video, I want to talk about why the Vikings are in such a unique situation with new quarterback JJ McCarthey, the Justin Jefferson contract extension, and just really overall, it's hard to get a grasp of what this team will be in 2024. But I want to break down some of what we do know. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 30k subscribers and are so close. And with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so the Vikings offense is relatively the same compared to last year, except for the fact that they made big changes at the most important position in the sport. They went from Kirk Cousins to JJ McCarthey and Sam Darnold. And also, rumors started swirling that the Vikings were going to re-sign running back Cam Akers after he passed a physical. Darren Wolfson was the first person to report that fact, and it makes sense to bring him back to compete for a roster spot. With his recovery close to, if not fully complete, those discussions will likely ramp up. In fact, ESPN has it on their transactions page that the Vikings have re-signed him with the physical pending. Based on the information we have, he is not a member of the Vikings, but that doesn't mean he won't be. Akers has a lot of history with head coach Kevin O'Connell and offensive coordinator Wes Phillips, having worked with them for 2 seasons in Los Angeles with the Rams and last season with the Vikings. Moving on, the Vikings are in a tough division. I know that. It's not a bad division at all. But the national media doesn't have any faith in this team. And many people have picked them to finish last. Again, am I saying this team is going to be knocking on the door of getting to the Super Bowl in January and February? Obviously not. They are super young and are figuring things out. But I think the expectation this team should strive for is to compete for a playoff spot. Because there was of course a massive change at quarterback, and however you want to slice it, JJ McCarthey and Sam Darnold right now is a downgrade. The one thing about the Vikings that I just haven't heard anyone talking about at all is how this team played pretty well last season, having a massive downgrade at quarterback once Kirk Cousins went down with that injury. Yes, the record wasn't very good, but just watching the games with the eye test, they weren't playing bad football at all. I just think with the way Kevin O'Connell has structured this offense, they're going to thrive. And like I said, the amount of respect given to this team is kind of unfair, but the Vikings and their fans are used to this, and honestly, it doesn't really affect them. Having Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, with Aaron Jones in the backfield, 2 top-notch tackles on the O-line, and a defensive coordinator that took a bunch of garbage and turned it into something decent, I'm telling you, this team has the potential to be way better than you would think. And they are going to be playing some meaningful football in December, whether they make the playoffs or not. Here is what some people have to say about this offense.
And who's luckier than these quarterbacks? I love your quarterback situation. You just wrap up your rookie mini camp. On the very first day, I'm hearing that JJ's making win sprint wagers with the defense, which is amazing. What's one specific thing you've learned now about JJ in rookie camp?
First and foremost, the amount of information that he was able to retain from Josh McCown and Grant Udinsky with some of the Zoom meetings they're able to do leading into the weekend. This guy's really smart, has a great ability to retain information.
But more importantly than just this season, the Vikings need to worry about the future and developing their players the right way. Because like I said, when you look at some of the playmakers they have, I think they stack up with even the best teams in the league. So now it's about building chemistry and putting it all together. And sometimes that takes more than just one season. So all I'm asking out of you Vikings fans is to just not panic if things hit the fan in 2024. It's not all about this season. 2 to 3 years from now, if things go according to plan, this team could be a real contender. Anyways, this season, I think the running game is going to become way more important than in years past, especially with how Aaron Jones is so versatile and can be used in not only just straight runs, but also with those short yardage passing plays and screens. But more important than that is the offensive line in front of him. Pro Football Focus has ranked this line 13th best in the league, so in other terms, towards the upper but still middle of the pack. With the groundwork laid by former GM Rick Spielman and some final dashes of salt on the mixture by the current GM, there is finally a legitimate offensive line again in the Twin Cities. Although left tackle Christian Darrisaw was not able to replicate his breakout 2022 campaign, he still finished the 2023 season as the 3rd highest graded offensive tackle in pass protection despite battling injury. While the interior trio of Dalton Risner, Garrett Bradbury, and Ed Ingram is average at best, the offensive tackle duo of Darisaw and Brian O'Neill makes the Vikings line an above average unit. O'Neill has always been one of the unsung heroes of the team, quietly being one of the most reliable offensive linemen in the entire NFL. He had to face a revolving door of left tackles to begin his career, but the Vikings found his perfect running mate in Virginia Tech product Christian Darisaw in the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft. Between those two pillars, it is solid enough, but the play isn't on par with the standard that the tackles have set. If an average center was a term in the dictionary, a picture of Garrett Bradbury would accompany it. The same goes for right guard Ed Ingram at the moment, who outside of his really atrocious moments in his rookie year has been a fine blocker for Minnesota, specifically in the run game. Alright, now moving on, I want to talk more about the receiving duo of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I truly do believe we are a year away from this being the best duo in the entire NFL, if it isn't already. And really, the only thing I'm worried about with them is the guy behind center throwing the ball. Last season, despite being injured, Jefferson still put up over 1,000 receiving yards with 5 touchdowns, and Addison put up 911 yards with a whopping 10 touchdowns. So look for the duo to combine for around 3,000 yards this coming season. Moving on, now I want to talk about the defense a little bit because I haven't covered them at all. Playing defense is often a numbers game. If there are a pair of blockers, then the defensive coordinator wants 3 defenders. A pair of players can get taken out by blocks and there will still be an open man to pull off the tackle. Every DC wants to do +1 math. To that end, can one of the Vikings' young defensive tackles help? Well, in undrafted free agency, Minnesota scooped up Taki Taimani. The former Oregon Duck is a massive man at 6'1", 330 pounds. The basic build points towards someone who should be able to hold up, soaking up double teams while being a monster in the run game. Regardless, the scouting report describes someone who can make it difficult to run up the middle. Oh, and keep in mind that we're considering someone who is 6'1" and not 6'6". The basic point is that he should be stout and difficult to move. Minnesota's defensive tackle spot is far from certain. The chances are small, but Taki Taimani may snag a coveted roster spot if he shows himself capable of controlling the line of scrimmage against NFL-level O-linemen. I expect this defense to be improved from last season overall, and they need to be with young and inexperienced quarterbacks on the other end. Looking at the Vikings schedule in 2024, like I said, with them playing in a pretty difficult division, that gives them a guaranteed couple of tough games against the Packers, Lions, and the emerging Chicago Bears. Honestly, it's going to be tough, but I think when looking at the division games, you just need to split the series in half and hope that this team can go 3-3 against the division opponents. But even outside of that, they still play teams like the 49ers, Texans, and Rams. But then there are games against the Falcons with Kirk Cousins, the Cardinals, and Giants, which should all be super winnable. If I had to predict what the Vikings record will be when it's all said and done, I'm going 9-8. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And sometimes that is good enough to sneak into the wild card. We have seen it happen before, but it just depends on the year. That is all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly means the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next in the comments below. And until then, I will see you all later.